Deep in the heart of Botswana, where the red earth meets endless horizons, lies a land that has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. This is the ancestral home of the San people, known to the world as the Bushmen, but to themselves as the Sun people. For over 20,000 years, their footsteps have marked these ancient pathways, making them the oldest continuous inhabitants of southern Africa. The numbers tell an extraordinary story. Archaeological evidence from sites like Sodilo Hills, just 200 kilometers northwest of Ganzi, reveals continuous human occupation spanning 100,000 years. Rock paintings in over 4,500 locations across the Kalahari Desert chronicle the San people's intimate relationship with their environment, a visual library of survival knowledge that predates the pyramids by millennia. The journey to their remote settlements spans 250 kilometers of rugged terrain, where dusty roads wind through landscapes that have remained largely unchanged for millennia. If you're planning this journey, prepare for a 2.5-hour drive that will test both your vehicle and your patience. The best time to travel is during the dry season, from May to October, when the roads are passable and the weather more forgiving. Pack essentials carefully. Extra water, spare tires, and emergency supplies are not luxuries, but necessities. The nearest fuel station lies 120 kilometers from the final destination, and cell phone coverage vanishes entirely after the first hour of driving. Yet, this isolation is precisely what makes the journey so profound. The distance from the nearest town represents more than mere miles. It marks the boundary between the modern world and one of humanity's oldest surviving cultures. As you drive deeper into the Kalahari, the landscape transforms subtly but dramatically. The scattered settlements of the outer regions give way to vast stretches of acacia thornveld, punctuated by the occasional baobab tree, standing like a giant's finger against the cobalt sky. The air carries the distinctive scent of the desert, dry, clean, with hints of wild sage and the earthy smell of red sand that will soon coat everything you own. In the settlement of Ganzi, traditional stone houses now dot the landscape where grass huts once stood. The transformation is stark and telling. This town of approximately 12,000 residents serves as the unofficial capital of the Kalahari, a place where cattle ranchers, government officials, and San communities intersect in ways both harmonious and complicated. Elizabeth, daughter of the village chief, represents a generation caught between two worlds. Her narrow name, spoken in the ancient click language of her people, carries the weight of tradition, while her English name opens doors to a rapidly changing world. When she speaks, you can hear the careful balance in her voice, the cadence of ancient storytelling traditions mixed with the measured tones of someone who has navigated both village councils and government offices. The morning air in Ganzi carries the sounds of this cultural intersection. The lowing of cattle mingles with the rhythmic pounding of traditional grain mortars, while the distant hum of generators provides a constant reminder of the modern world's presence. For visitors, this auditory landscape offers the first glimpse into the complexity of contemporary San life. The San people's traditional click language creates a symphony of sounds that, well, Western ears really struggle to comprehend. These clicks, pops, and tonal variations form one of the world's most complex linguistic systems, encoding thousands of years of accumulated wisdom about survival, spirituality, and, the natural world. Linguists have identified over 80 distinct click sounds in various San languages, each carrying specific meanings that can change based on tone, context, and even accompanying gestures. The dental clicks, made by placing the tongue against the teeth, often relate to hunting and tracking. The lateral clicks, produced by sucking air through the side of the mouth, frequently describe water sources and weather patterns. The alveolar clicks, created by touching the tongue to the roof of the mouth, typically convey information about plants and their uses. Now, learning even basic greetings requires patience and practice. The simple phrase, "How are you?" involves a complex series of clicks and tonal variations that can take visitors weeks to master. Yet, the effort is always appreciated. When you attempt to speak their language, however imperfectly, you'll see faces light up with genuine pleasure and surprise. The art of traditional dance remains vibrant among the San people. Women adorn themselves with intricate jewelry crafted from seeds and berries, and their movements tell stories that predate written history. The dance skirts, woven from plant fibers and adorned with natural ornaments, are transformed through an ancient process where seeds are fried in cooking oil to achieve the distinctive black and white patterns that mark their ceremonial attire. The preparation for these dances begins hours before visitors arrive. Women gather in small groups, carefully selecting seeds from the moretlwa tree and sorting them by size and color. The larger seeds are reserved for the most important dancers, while smaller ones create delicate patterns on younger participants' costumes. The process of creating the black and white contrast involves heating cooking oil in metal pans over open fires, then carefully frying the seeds until they achieve the desired color, a technique that honestly requires precise timing and experienced hands. The dances themselves serve multiple purposes beyond entertainment. The healing dance, performed primarily by women, can last through the night as participants enter trance states believed to channel healing energy. The hunting dance, traditionally performed by men, recreates the movements of various animals and teaches young people the behavioral patterns essential for successful hunting. The social dances celebrate marriages, births, and seasonal changes, binding the community together through shared movement and music. For visitors, these performances offer more than cultural entertainment. They provide a window into a worldview where the boundaries between physical and spiritual realms blur. The rhythmic clapping, the stamping of feet on packed earth, and the haunting melodies create an atmosphere that honestly seems to transport participants and observers alike to a different understanding of time and space. Architecture of survival. The traditional dwellings of the San people reflect their intimate relationship with the environment. Constructed from branches and bound with rope, these huts represent architectural minimalism born of necessity. Despite their modest size, barely accommodating a single person lying down, they provided adequate shelter for a nomadic people who moved with the seasons and the migrations of game. The construction process reveals sophisticated understanding of local materials and environmental conditions. The frame consists of flexible branches from the shepherd's tree, chosen for their ability to bend without breaking in strong winds. The covering traditionally used grass and reed mats, carefully woven to shed water while allowing air circulation. The entire structure can be dismantled and reconstructed within hours, allowing families to move quickly when circumstances require. Modern adaptations of these traditional structures incorporate contemporary materials while maintaining essential design principles. Plastic sheeting replaces grass mats and rope substitutes for traditional plant fibers. But the fundamental architecture remains unchanged. The circular design maximizes interior space while minimizing material requirements, and the low profile reduces wind resistance, practical considerations that reflect thousands of years of accumulated wisdom. The science of ancient hunting. The hunting traditions of the San people showcase one of humanity's most sophisticated survival systems. Their hunting sets, complete with poison arrows and tracking tools, enabled them to pursue small game across vast territories. The bow and arrow, crafted with precision and treated with plant-based toxins, represented technology refined over thousands of years. The complexity of their hunting system becomes apparent when examining the poison arrows in Dudel. The San people identified over 20 different plant species suitable for arrow poison, each with specific properties and applications. The most commonly used poison comes from the larvae of the Diamphidia beetle, which feeds on the roots of the marula tree. These tiny grubs contain potent neurotoxins that can paralyze prey within minutes, yet the poison breaks down quickly after death, making the meat safe to consume. The tracking skills of San hunters border on the supernatural to outside observers. They can determine an animal's species, age, health condition, and emotional state from footprints alone. A skilled tracker can follow days-old spoor across rocky terrain, reading subtle signs invisible to untrained eyes, a displaced pebble, a broken twig, or the faint scent of an animal's passage. However, modern conservation laws have transformed these master hunters into reluctant farmers, their ancient skills now relegated to cultural demonstrations rather than daily survival. The Central Kalahari Game Reserve, established in 1961, prohibited hunting within its boundaries, effectively ending the traditional lifestyle of thousands of San people. This policy, while aimed at wildlife conservation, has created profound challenges for communities whose identity and survival skills were intimately connected to hunting. The sacred art of fire. The fire-making ceremony demonstrates the San people's mastery over their environment. Using nothing but wood and friction, they create flames through techniques passed down through countless generations. The process involves creating small holes and grooves in specially selected wood, then using tinder and precise movements to coax spark into flame, a skill that once meant the difference between life and death in the harsh Kalahari. The traditional fire-making kit consists of several carefully chosen components. The hearthboard, typically made from the softwood of the baobab tree, contains precisely carved notches that channel the heat generated by friction. The drill, crafted from harder wood like the shepherd's tree, rotates rapidly against the hearthboard to create the heat necessary for ignition. The tinder bundle, made from dried grass and the inner bark of certain trees, provides the material needed to transform a tiny ember into a sustainable flame. The ceremony itself carries deep spiritual significance. Fire represents the boundary between the human and natural worlds, the tool that allowed humanity to transform raw materials into useful objects and dangerous environments into livable spaces. The person creating the fire must maintain precise rhythm and pressure while remaining mentally focused on the task. A meditation that connects the practitioner to generations of ancestors who perform this same ritual. The elders speak of a time when life followed different rhythms. 48 years ago, the landscape bore little resemblance to today's settled village. Where stone houses now stand, there once existed vast hunting grounds where the San people moved freely, following game and seasonal patterns that had sustained them for millennia. The transformation from nomadic hunters to settled farmers represents one of the most dramatic cultural shifts in human history. The government's relocation program, implemented in the 1970s and 1980s, aimed to integrate San communities into modern Botswana society. Officials argued that permanent settlements would provide better access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. The reality proved more complex. While some benefits materialized, the loss of traditional lifestyle created new problems that continue to challenge San communities today. The seasonal calendar that once governed San life divided the year into distinct periods, each with specific activities and locations. The early dry season from May to July was the time for hunting large game that gathered around permanent water sources. The late dry season from August to October focused on gathering plant foods and preparing for the rains. The wet season from November to April brought abundance but also challenges, as many areas became inaccessible due to flooding. The complexity of their situation becomes apparent when examining their current living conditions. Modern conveniences, electricity, roads, permanent housing and access to education have undoubtedly improved certain aspects of life. Children now attend schools, families have secure shelter, and medical care is more accessible than ever before. Yet this progress comes at a profound cost. The prohibition of hunting has severed the San people's connection to their primary means of survival and cultural identity. Where once they tracked antelope across endless plains, they now tend goats and cattle within fenced boundaries. The ancient knowledge of reading animal tracks, understanding seasonal migrations, and navigating by the stars begins to fade with each passing generation. The economic transformation has created new challenges. While the San people once lived entirely off the land, they now must navigate cash-based economies for which their traditional skills provide little preparation. The shift from hunting to farming requires different knowledge, different tools, and different relationships with the land. A typical San family today might own a small herd of goats, a few chickens, and perhaps a single cow. The government provides monthly food rations and some cash assistance, but these resources rarely stretch to cover all needs. Young people often migrate to towns seeking wage employment, leaving behind elderly relatives who struggle to maintain traditional practices alone. The economic landscape of the modern Kalahari reveals the challenges facing San communities. Tourism provides some income, with cultural performances and traditional craft sales generating modest revenue. A typical dance performance might earn a village group between 200 and 500 pula, or about $15 to $40, while traditional jewelry and crafts sell for 50 to 200 pula per item. Cattle ranching dominates the regional economy, with large-scale operations employing some San people as herders and farm workers. These jobs typically pay 800 to 1,200 pula per month, roughly $60 to $90, providing crucial income but requiring workers to abandon traditional lifestyles entirely. The government's Remote Area Development Program has introduced various economic initiatives, including small-scale farming projects and craft cooperatives. However, success rates remain low, partly due to the mismatch between program requirements and traditional San social structures. The individualistic approach favored by development programs conflicts with the communal decision-making processes that have governed San communities for millennia. The education system presents another area of tension between tradition and progress. Government schools teach in English and Setswana, Botswana's official languages, while San children arrive speaking their native click languages. The curriculum focuses on modern subjects, mathematics, science, and technology, while traditional knowledge systems receive little recognition or support. Many San children struggle academically, not due to lack of intelligence, but because of the vast cultural gap between their home experiences and school expectations. The formal education system values individual achievement and competition, concepts that conflict with traditional San values of sharing and collective decision-making. Some innovative programs attempt to bridge this gap by incorporating traditional knowledge into modern curricula. Students learn mathematics through traditional tracking methods, study ecology through indigenous plant knowledge, and explore history through oral traditions. These programs show promise but remain limited in scope and funding. The persistence of tradition, is truly remarkable among the San people. Despite these challenges, the San people's resilience shines through their adaptability. Even with dramatic changes to their lifestyle, they maintain their cultural identity through language, ceremony, and community bonds. Their traditional knowledge, accumulated over thousands of years, represents an irreplaceable repository of human wisdom about sustainable living and environmental stewardship. The medicinal plant knowledge of San healers encompasses over 200 species, each with specific applications and preparation methods. The hoodia plant, used traditionally to suppress appetite during long hunting expeditions, has attracted international attention from pharmaceutical companies. The devil's claw plant, employed to treat arthritis and digestive problems, now generates export revenue for some communities. Traditional ecological knowledge extends beyond plants to include sophisticated understanding of animal behavior, weather patterns, and seasonal changes. San people can predict rainfall weeks in advance by observing subtle changes in animal behavior, cloud formations, and plant growth patterns. This knowledge, developed over millennia, offers valuable insights for modern environmental management and climate adaptation strategies. The sacred landscape, it continues to play a central role in San culture. The spiritual dimension of San culture remains largely intact despite external pressures. Sacred sites throughout the Kalahari continue to receive regular visits from community members who perform traditional rituals and maintain spiritual connections to the land. These sites, often marked by distinctive rock formations or ancient trees, serve as focal points for community identity and cultural continuity. The trance dance, performed during healing ceremonies and important community events, represents one of the most powerful expressions of San spirituality. Participants enter altered states of consciousness through rhythmic movement, breathing techniques, and community support. These experiences, described by participants as journeys to the spirit world provide healing, guidance, and connection to ancestral wisdom. The role of traditional healers remains crucial in San communities. These individuals, typically chosen through dreams or spiritual calling, undergo years of training in plant medicine, ritual practices, and community counseling. They serve as bridges between traditional and modern medical systems, often working alongside government health clinics to provide comprehensive care for community members. Visiting the Sun People, a traveler's guide, if you will. For visitors interested in experiencing San culture firsthand, several options exist, each offering different levels of authenticity and cultural immersion. The most accessible option involves day trips from Ganzi, where established cultural programs provide demonstrations of traditional practices. These visits typically cost between 300 and 500 pula per person and include transportation, guide services, and refreshments. More immersive experiences require advanced planning and cultural sensitivity. Some communities offer overnight stays in traditional villages, providing opportunities to participate in daily activities and learn traditional skills. These experiences, while more expensive, 800 to 1,200 pula per person per day, offer deeper cultural insights and direct economic benefits to San communities. The best time to visit depends on your interests and tolerance for extreme weather. The dry season from May to October offers comfortable temperatures and easier travel conditions, but also higher prices and larger crowds. The wet season, from November to April, provides fewer visitors and lower costs, but challenging travel conditions and oppressive heat. Essential items for any visit include sun protection, comfortable walking shoes, and modest clothing that covers shoulders and knees. Bring a hat, sunglasses, and high SPF sunscreen. The Kalahari sun is unforgiving. A good camera is essential, but always ask permission before photographing people, and consider purchasing crafts or making donations to show appreciation for shared cultural experiences. The future of ancient wisdom, well, it's a topic that raises important questions. Their story reflects broader questions about cultural preservation in an increasingly interconnected world. As the last generation of traditional San hunters ages, their descendants face the challenge of maintaining their cultural identity while adapting to modern realities. The skills that once enabled survival in one of Earth's harshest environments now serve primarily as cultural demonstrations for visitors and researchers. Several promising initiatives attempt to address these challenges. The Kuru family of organizations, based in Ganzi, works to preserve San languages through documentation projects and educational programs. The organization has recorded thousands of hours of traditional stories, songs, and oral histories, creating an archive that future generations can access to maintain cultural connections. Technology offers new possibilities for cultural preservation and economic development. Digital platforms enable San communities to share their stories with global audiences, while e-commerce sites provide markets for traditional crafts. Some communities have begun using GPS technology to map sacred sites and traditional territories, creating digital records that support land rights claims and cultural preservation efforts. The San people's traditional knowledge offers, really valuable insights for modern environmental challenges. Their understanding of sustainable resource use, developed through millennia of living in harmony with harsh environments, actually provides lessons for contemporary conservation efforts. Traditional burning practices, which are used to manage grasslands and promote plant diversity, have influenced modern fire management strategies in the Kalahari. Climate change presents new challenges for San communities as shifting weather patterns disrupt traditional seasonal cycles and threaten the plant and animal species on which their culture depends. However, their adaptive strategies, developed over thousands of years of environmental variability, offer models for resilience that other communities might emulate. The integration of traditional and modern environmental knowledge creates opportunities for innovative conservation approaches. San trackers work with wildlife biologists to monitor animal populations, while traditional healers collaborate with botanists to document medicinal plant species. These partnerships honestly demonstrate the potential for combining ancient wisdom with contemporary science. The Land of the Sun. People stands as a testament to human adaptability and the complex relationship between tradition and progress. Their journey from nomadic hunters to settled farmers illustrates the broader human story of adaptation, loss, and resilience in the face of inexorable change. The tension between preservation and progress really defines the contemporary San experience. Government policies aimed at modernization and conservation have fundamentally altered their way of life. While these changes have brought undeniable benefits, improved healthcare, education, and living standards, they have also threatened the survival of one of humanity's oldest cultures. Yet hope persists in the daily lives of San communities. Children still learn traditional songs from their grandparents, young people practice traditional dances, and families maintain spiritual connections to ancestral lands. The Click languages continue to evolve, incorporating new vocabulary for modern concepts while retaining their essential character. In the end, the San people's legacy extends far beyond their current circumstances. Their 20,000-year presence in southern Africa represents humanity's longest continuous cultural tradition. Their intimate knowledge of the natural world, their sophisticated social structures, and their sustainable way of life offer valuable lessons for a world grappling with environmental challenges and cultural preservation. The story of the sun people serves as both celebration and warning, a reminder of the richness of human diversity and the fragility of cultural heritage in an age of rapid change. Their resilience in the face of dramatic transformation offers hope that ancient wisdom can coexist with modern progress, preserving the best of both worlds for future generations. As the sun sets over the Kalahari, painting the endless horizon in shades of gold and crimson, the San people gather around their fires as they have for countless generations. The flames dance against the darkening sky, illuminating faces that carry the wisdom of ages and the hope of tomorrow. In their stories, their laughter, and their enduring connection to the land, the ancient spirit of the Sun people continues to burn bright, a beacon of human resilience in an ever-changing world. Their journey is far from over. The challenges they face, cultural preservation, economic development, environmental change, mirror those confronting indigenous communities worldwide. Yet their story offers something increasingly rare in our fractured world, proof that it is possible to honor the past while embracing the future, to maintain identity while adapting to change, and to find meaning in both tradition and progress. For visitors who make the journey to meet the Sun people, the experience offers more than cultural education or tourist entertainment. It provides a window into humanity's shared heritage, a reminder of the diverse ways humans have learned to thrive in challenging environments, and an inspiration for creating a future that honors both ancient wisdom and modern possibilities. The dust may settle on the red roads of the Kalahari, but the stories of the Sun people continue to unfold. Written in the languages of clicks and whispers, danced in the movements of ceremony, and lived in the daily choices of a people determined to remain themselves while embracing tomorrow.